Hi there, this is Eshu. I'm the abbot here at Zenwest Buddhist Society. This Living Zen-podcast is just one of the many resources we've created at Zenwest to make Zen practice and training more available and accessible to people all over the world. Instructional videos, printable resources, and much, much more are also available on our website at www.zenwest.ca. If you're a regular listener, I'd love to hear from you. So please drop me an email at office@zenwest.ca and let me know who you are, how you got started, and what brought you to Zen. Everything we make available in person and online at Zenwest is only possible because of the support of our members and associates, people like you. If the efforts of our community are making a difference in your life, I'd like to invite you to show your support and take part in making it happen by becoming an associate or member of the Zenwest Sangha. You can do this by clicking the Join Us tab on our website at www.zenwest.ca. Thank you for your support, and thanks for listening. Today was a busy day. There was a lot going on around the Zen Center. So as things sort of settle down into the evening, we get ready to sit. And I sit down. I'm very tired. It's a struggle just to stay upright as I sit. I think one of the real challenges on the one hand, but advantages, I think, of Zen practice is our commitment or our focus on sitting meditation. I think in our daily practice, as we sit from day to day, we make all kinds of assessments or judgments about the quality of our seated practice, the quality of our meditation as we do it. We say, that was a good sit, or that was not such a good sit. I was really settled during that sit, or I was really distracted, drowsy, emotional during that sit. And we sort of categorize the way that we engage in our sitting meditation into packages like good and bad, strong and distracted. And one of the things that you realize as you practice more and more is that in the Zen tradition, we focus on practicing in all conditions, regardless of how we're feeling, or regardless of the time of day, regardless of what's going on in any particular circumstance, any particular situation. In particular, you see this during intensive practice, during 1 day or 5 day intensives. Many people complain about the schedule. They struggle with the strain of a day, getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, having a quick pee and just maybe splash some water on your face, and you're in the zendo, chanting, walking, sitting, round and around and around. The meals are formal, the work period is silent, and we engage in this practice for every hour of the day. Around 9:30 at night, the zendo closes. Well, the formal practice closes. You're invited and encouraged to do yaza, which is extra sitting. Why? People complain and say, oh, I'm so tired, or oh, it's too much, or oh, couldn't we have a little break and just sort of be a little bit more comfortable as we practice. But this is the value of our practice, is that we're able to engage in practice. We're able to engage in manifesting presently, engaging or dissolving into the activity that's unfolding in front of us, even when we're tired, especially when we're tired. even when we're grumpy, even when it's inconvenient, especially when it's inconvenient or we are uncomfortable. This is a tremendously straightforward, simple practice, particularly the sitting aspect of it. We're just asked to sit up straight. Pay attention to our breathing. And fully give ourselves to the activity that we're engaged in. And even in a so-called good sit, we sort of drift in and out. When we recognize that we've gone off with a thought, we've been distracted by something that's come up in our mind or in our body, when we recognize that, we bring ourselves back. We bring ourselves back to engaging in what we're doing. And in that moment, it's just paying attention to our breathing. Likewise, when we're walking, we're paying attention to what we're doing with our body. We should be paying attention, kissing the earth with the soles of our feet. So I described it as rolling the feet. And we should be paying attention to this, rolling our feet, kissing the earth with the soles of our feet. We become distracted. We start to think about things or start to feel physical sensations in our mind, in our body that distract us. And we lose contact with the earth. We lose contact with that experience of kissing the earth with the soles of our feet. And we just start stomping again, just like we used to. When we're chanting, it's the same thing. We chant and we're connected. These devilish syllables are flying past so quickly that we need to pay attention. We're engaged and embraced by the activity of chanting, and we get distracted and we lose it. But we realize that, we awaken to that, we recognize it, and we bring ourselves back to engaging in the practice, engaging in what it is that we're doing. And a lot of people think that practice is about sitting well, or doing walking meditation correctly, or chanting well, being able to know all the chants and keep up and say them all properly, and have a good voice or something. But all of that stuff is just window dressing in a lot of ways. It's just a skillful means for the other activity that we are asked to engage in, which is this realization of where we are, what we're doing, and that effort of bringing ourselves back. If we sit down and we look really good, but from the moment we sit down, we're not paying attention to our breath at all, we're just thinking about this and that, or fantasizing about this and that, or dreaming. And we just say, nobody will know that that's what I'm doing. I'll just sit here, it'll look good. Everyone will say what a great meditator I am. We're not actually doing Zen practice. We're just kind of playing around. And really, if we want to play around, I think we should probably just buy a video game system or something, because it's a lot more fun than sitting up and getting sore knees and a sore back, just so that we can play around. Our practice is to bring ourselves back over and over again. Sometimes it's easy. Sometimes we're not distracted. Sometimes we're feeling well rested and we're strong. And it's a very easy thing to stay present with what we're doing. We hardly ever have to catch ourselves and bring ourselves back to what it is that we're doing. Sometimes we're dead tired, or we're physically exhausted, or we've got an injury that we're dealing with, or there's busyness in our lives, in our work, or in our family relationships, or in our romantic relationships, and we're distracted by those things. The easy thing to do is just to sit down and look nice and just think about those things. Worry about them. Play with them. But if we're going to engage in practice, and we're going to call it Zen practice, then the activity that we're engaged in is one of awakening. Specifically in this example, awakening to where it is that our mind is, how we are being sort of pulled out of the unfolding activity of our life to play in the realm of thoughts, the formless realm of ideas. And our practice is to just catch that and bring ourselves back to what we're doing. It happens when we're walking, it happens when we're sitting, it happens when we're chanting. Why is it important? The reason that it's important is that we are no different inside the Zendo than we are outside of the Zendo. We're no different inside this practice of seated meditation and walking meditation and chanting than we are outside in the activity of our work, in the activity of our relationships, in the activity of the day-to-day tasks that we engage in. What we're doing with our mind is no different. So when we're cooking our food or eating our food or doing our household tasks, we can be engaged in them. We can be embracing them, dissolving into these things that we think of as just boring everyday things. But when we engage with them, they stop being boring. They become the complete content of our lives. They become dynamic and interesting. They're only boring, they're only everyday when we're off somewhere else, thinking about something else, moving on to the next thing in our minds. And this is where we can begin to take our practice as we learn it, as we engage in it in the formal environment in the Zendo. And we can begin to apply it to our everyday activities. So when we're washing dishes or emptying the dishwasher, we can be doing it as a checkbox so that we can move on to the next thing that we want to do. Or we can recognize that as the complete activity of our life in this moment. Give ourselves to it totally. Engage with it completely. And we find that this previously boring, mundane task becomes something interesting, becomes something valuable. So the reason that we practice so much, we practice when we're tired, we practice when we're hungry, we practice when we're sore, we practice long hours. And the reason is that it isn't such a challenge to engage in our lives when we're well rested and we're not stressed and we're well fed and we don't have anything else to do. It's easy. It's easy for us to engage in the activities that we're doing. But the truth is that, for most of us anyway, life isn't like that very often. We're a little bit hungry, we're a little bit tired, people are asking a little bit too much of us. And yet the challenge or the invitation of Zen practice is to engage nonetheless, to awaken nonetheless, to wake up and see how it is that we are engaging with this wonderful, mysterious activity of life in every moment. So this is why we call it practice, or this is why we call what we do in the Zendo training. Because we are consciously training in a structured, purpose-built environment, training ourselves to continuously awaken to what it is that we're doing with our body, speech, and mind, and to continuously bring ourselves back into harmonious engagement, into dissolution with the activity of our life as it unfolds before us. So whenever we're sitting and we're falling asleep, or whenever we're sitting and we've got aches in our legs and we want to move, but we just dissolve into it, bring ourselves back. Whenever we're doing this, it's important to recognize that this is a very powerful practice. This is important practice. This is good practice. It's not pretty. It's not comfortable. It's not fun. And it's not easy. But this engaging in this uneasy, challenging, drowsy, distracted practice, in my opinion, my humble opinion, is some of the best practice that we can do, because it's real, because it connects our practice with the real situations in our life, the way that we are going to feel when we most need to be able to engage. And so it provides us with an opportunity to practice and to train, so that as we go out into the world, regardless of the circumstances we find ourselves in, regardless of the variables that can affect us, tiredness and hunger, anxiety, we are able to act harmoniously. We're able to act without preference for the self. We're able to act and be of benefit to all beings that we meet and interact with.
Thanks for listening to the Living Zen podcast. If you follow Living Zen through iTunes, I would very much appreciate it if you would take a moment to let me know what you think about it by rating or reviewing the podcast, so that new listeners can also hear what you have to say. Thank you for your time and for your support.